Welcome, everybody, to ThreatGEN's eSports shoutcast of our epic battle today between Eric Taylor of Barricade Cyber Solutions and our very own and Simply Cyber's very own Jerry Ozier, PhD, the doctor. So we got this head-to-head battle going today, and it's going to be epic, so get ready. Hey, what's up, everybody? So this is Clint, and joining me today is my co-host and my cohort, I should say, Simon. Say hi, Simon.
Hey, everyone. Good to be here, Clint. Thanks very much for inviting me along today. Super excited about this head-to-head.
You were supposed to say hi, Simon. Anyway.
I dropped the ball there.
So, yep, we already have our audience building up. We're going to spend the next 10 15 minutes or so kind of talking, chatting this up to the audience and saying hi to everyone and getting ready to go, talking about our competitors today, and talk a little bit about the game, the rules, and all that for those of you who haven't seen any previous ones. So we see some people in the audience saying hi to Carrie. Hi, William. Glad you're joining us. So what do you think? We'll talk a little bit about each of the competitors, but what do you think? What are your predictions, Simon?
It's a tough one to call, as always. I always think that Jerry has the slight edge because he knows the system a bit more. But also I know how unpredictable it can be. So again, I think it can be anyone's today. Super excited to see what Eric brings to the table from Barricade Cyber Solutions as well. So yeah, I'm excited. What about you, Clint? Any thoughts?
Well, so we're going to have Eric playing the blue team, and Eric is, he's a veteran in blue teaming, cybersecurity, SOC analyst, pen tester. So he knows his stuff. And I do happen to know that Eric has been practicing all week. So he's been in the game, been in the system. I saw him in there warming up this morning, kind of like the boxer in the ring, hitting the bags, getting, all ready to go. Jerry, on the other hand, while he has a lot more experience, he's playing the red team today. And, that could be an issue just due to the fact that I've seen Jerry, you kind of fall a little bit playing the red team. He's not as experienced with the red team. He's a career blue teamer, but he will be playing the red teamer, but he's been practicing as well. So, and he's got some good strategies.
Different mindset, Clint, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
And Jerry is a born defender. I think we know that, but let's see how he adapts to that today. We've got loads of people jumping in the chat. Just a quick shout out to Roy, Carrie. We've got a first timer there as well. I haven't got access to the chat function here, so I can't see, but we've got William Welch, first time to join. Hope you're enjoying it, William. Do you want to talk about, Clint, a little bit about the game?
Yeah. And by the way, I also want to,
you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I also want to throw a shout out to InfoSec Brett. Thanks for joining us. He has a great stream that he does on cybersecurity. And he says, he says, time to break Jerry's win streak. I think it's possible. I think that that Eric can hold off Jerry's attack. I think anyway. But yeah, so the game, what we're playing, for those of you that aren't familiar with Red versus Blue, this is a cybersecurity simulation platform called Red versus Blue, developed by ThreatGEN. Yes, full disclosure, that's my company. And it is a turn-based style strategy game. So if you've ever played Risk or Civilization, that's what Red versus Blue is, but it's set in a computer network. And in this case, it's going to be industrial networks, pipeline company, manufacturing company, something like that. And the blue team must obviously defend the network, and they have limited resources. So Eric will have limited resources in terms of money, people, that sort of thing. But there are opportunities throughout the game for Eric to increase those resources. On the red side, Jerry has basically general hacker resources, which is kind of an abstract concept that's a conglomeration of the hardware and the time or people and everything like that. But they start off with limited resources as well, and both sides have the opportunity to increase their resources. Also, the game is conceptual and strategic, so it's very detailed, meaning on the blue side, you do everything you would expect to see in a blue team situation. So, putting in firewall, signaling your network, putting in threat monitoring, policies, procedures, all these things, vulnerability assessments, pen testing, threat hunting. On the red side, same thing. You can do social engineering. They can go on site, physically break in, direct cyber attacks, malware, ransomware, um, looting, covering their tracks, data exfiltration, everything. So but everything is instead of, you're not going to see command line hacking, you're going to see point and click. It's a video game for cybersecurity, and we've turned it into an esports. That's what the game is.
I think from my kind of outsider's perspective, and for those who don't know me, I don't work for ThreatGEN. Just jumped in today to do some shoutcasting with Clint. Is that we've got some amazing platforms out there for learning, the kind of gamified, such as Try Hack Me and Hack the Box. But the thing that's been missing for me is the overarching knowledge, the kind of the high level overview of where everything fits together. Because focusing on those specific platforms doesn't give you that. And for me, this platform really, really does give you an insight into, how to defend and how to put those attacks into place. So for me, it's really exciting stuff.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and thanks for that. And yeah, I think it's important to note that you kind of are a regular shotcaster now. It's not just, you know, you're just
You
not just
can't, you
joining in
can't
today.
get rid of
You
me.
were here last time, and what's that?
You just can't get rid of me. That's what it is.
I can't.
No.
So, um, what are some of the predictions from the audience? What do you think? I know that we had somebody said blue team for the win, or blue team FTW. So I'm curious to see.
I think we've got a lot of Jerry fans out there, Clint. I
Yeah,
think
I
we
think we
might.
do. Not too many people are familiar with Eric Taylor. And here's the thing: if you're a simply cyber viewer, then you're familiar with Eric because Eric is on there a lot, and he's a regular at Simply Cyber, Jerry's stream. That's where we plucked him from. We found Jerry. We hired Jerry at ThreatGEN, plucked him from. And it's ironic that everything's come to full circle. The way that I met Jerry was that I found Jerry and one of his friends doing a live let's play of Red versus Blue. And so I reached out to him and I said, "Hey, would you like to do a let's play, with the developer in the room, basically?" And that's how we met. And then a year and a half later, we had an opening for this position that Jerry is in now with ThreatGEN, and he took the position. So he's basically our acting CISO, but more importantly, he runs our streaming and our all of our social media, and he's developing our cybersecurity courses. So it's funny how things work out.
It is. It's a small world, and I mean, what Jerry's built with Simply Cyber is quite phenomenal. The amount of views he gets every day for his threat briefings. I mean,
Yeah.
they're probably one of the most engaging threat briefings I've seen, and I think it's a great team. It's a great win-win for both of you, I think.
So so Ryan says that they're both playing outside of their comfort zones. I think that Jerry is more outside of his comfort zone than Eric. Eric, is a blue teamer as well as a red teamer. And so there's a question here, and the question was, you know, so what tools will be used if they aren't using command line? And so you'll see how this works out. Um, Red versus Blue is a simulation platform that where everything is basically simulated. It's so everything that you see, the game will it's point and click. Put it that way. It's point and click, and the game will simulate the actions, the correlations, and that part is hard to explain until you see it. If you're familiar with Metasploit and Armitage, which was the precursor to Cobalt Strike, it's basically Armitage, however you pronounce it, made into a game. That's the best way I can describe it. So those of you that are familiar with Armitage or Armitage, I don't know how to pronounce that. Anyway, all
So,
right.
what about time limits then, Clint? Obviously, for
Good
those
point.
not familiar with the game, you have a certain amount of time per play. What are we playing today?
Um, sorry, they look like they're starting their stream. I'm trying to. Jerry said he's going live.
I
Okay,
see
I'm not
your
seeing them
comment there,
live.
William, about you being a complete noob. In that case, I think this could be a really good place for you to start rather than jumping in with the gamification platforms. Should give you an overview. So be good to keep us updated in the comments as to what you think about that as well.
Let's see. I'm just sitting here. I'm trying to so they haven't started yet. Okay, here we go. All right, they're starting going live and all right. All right, sorry everybody. I'm just trying to get we have 3 different streams going. We have Jerry's stream going, we have Eric's stream going, and then we're pulling both streams in here. Is it going? There we go.
Okay, I suppose I should really get this ready, shouldn't I, if we're now about to go?
Let's get ready to rumble!
There we are. Hopefully that time's about right.
All right, so we got them both going here. Let's real quick, let's just go into our screen view here. Oh, there we go. All right, so we have Jerry over there. He's all, look at him. He's all red teamed out. Jerry is at his in-laws. He's not in his regular studio, but he's all red teamed out. And there's his stream. So he's talking about he's red teamed out. And then over here, oh, what was Jerry doing? He's showing his shirt. Over here, we have Eric going. And so Eric's stream might be hard to see if he has this chat going live too. So they're getting ready. They're chatting it up and they're talking to their viewers that are local on their channel while they're doing that. And they're getting set up. So I think Eric's going to host. So we'll watch his screen for now because I think he's going to host. Blue team always hosts. And I'm not sure if he's setting up the game or not, or if Jerry's setting up the game. Either way, we'll see. While they're talking it up and while they're getting ready for, for their streams, I'll keep an eye on it. We'll go back here to our broadcast stream. Oh, that's hold on.
Hey, Eric.
I already messed it up. He can't hear anything. He's I've already there we go. I've already messed my screen up. There we go. All right, there we go. I'm still getting used to my stream deck and this whole. I need a producer. I need somebody who can help run this for me, so where you and I just talk and somebody else can run the technology here.
It's really hard. It's something that I'm not very good at. Multitasking is definitely not a skill of mine.
Yeah. So we look, you wanted to talk about time. So I think we're running last time when Jerry played against Josh Mason. Josh hosted and gave him 40 seconds per turn, and that really put the pressure on. I think we're running we're running 1 minute turns here. I think that's the way we're going to do this. We're going to run 1 minute turns, and I think we're doing 50 turns. So I think we'll see. I'm keeping an eye on everybody's setup here. So we got looks like Jerry's going to run his chat as well. And so they're still getting set up. So while I'll keep an eye on it here and see who's setting up. This is the awkward part, basically just waiting on kind of seeing how they're going to get set up. We also have a back channel chat over here. So on the back channel, we basically our support. So we have our support team. This is a whole production. We have our whole support team. Hey, Alex, how's it going? We see you there in chat. So we have a whole production team going here to where we have support. We have people working on the back end where Jerry and Eric and myself can talk on the back end in case there's a problem because we're all streaming in 3 different areas. We have our support. We have our we even have our developers on. We have a whole team of people that makes this production happen. So it's really kind of cool. So while we are still polishing up the look and the feel and the shoutcast, we are absolutely the production and the technicality, how we bring this together is a well-oiled machine now. And I'm really proud of how the guys pulled it together.
So before we jump in then, Clint, let's talk about if you start off as the blue team here and you hadn't played the game before, what process would you use to start hardening the network that you've got?
So, the red team has about 3 different strategies. And so as a result, you have to think of those as the blue team. So the red team can come at you physically on site. They can come at you direct. Okay, let me go. Jerry's already starting. It looks like he's getting ready to set up. They can come at you direct internet. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay, Jerry's setting up right now. But anyway, the blue team has to think about the 3 different areas: the social engineering, direct hacking, and physical on site. Then you have to think about the objectives, which can be data exfiltration, destroying the industrial control systems, or profit and loss victory. So here are your different victories. The red team can win by destroying the industrial control systems, or by causing the profit and loss to go into the red meter for 5 consecutive turns. Those would be red team. Red team can also win by default if the blue team accidentally destroys their own control systems. So the blue team can win in 2 ways. They can get a threat intelligence victory. All right, so I think we're trying to figure out on the back end. Yep. They're figuring out getting the settings and getting set up. The blue team can win by and I'm gonna tell Josh to go full screen. I mean, not Josh, Eric, sorry. The blue team can win by outlasting the red team, basically keeping them from their objective for I think it's for 50 turns. Yep. We are going 60-second turns, and oh, that didn't work. So we're going 60-second turns and 50 turns. All right, so everybody's trying to figure out how to get their game set up. Eric's having trouble going full screen. He's having technical issues.
So look, I think Jerry's ready to go, isn't he?
Yeah, Jerry's ready to go. Eric's working on a full screen zooming issue. Eric's the only person that's ever had this problem. Oh, because he has a wide screen.
Hey, Jess, good to see you. Just waiting for Eric to get his screen set up here.
All right, so Jerry's set up. They're waiting. Before we get started here, Eric's working on a technical issue.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's that, Jess. It would be good if Jerry had done that, but I'm not sure he's been that prepped, but you never know. I'm having to keep muting my microphone because I've got 3 of my young children screaming around the garden. So if I keep going quiet, you'll know why.
All right, looks like he's got it worked out, sort of. That's going to be about the best we can get for Eric's view. So the problem is that they're running with their chat screen going as well. So that's something we'll have to work out with future competitors, is make sure that they're not going to be able to run their full screen chat, or I don't know, or if they do both run their full screen chat, I can crop the video out a little more. Let me see if Jerry's running his. Yeah, Jerry's not going to run his chat. Oh well, that's okay. We have options for future show runs, but hopefully the audience can see Eric's screen when he starts to play, but we'll still be able to talk about it. Sorry for the view, folks, though, if it looks like it's going to be small on Eric's. All right, looks like they're just waiting to get started. Oh, it's okay. Here we go.
We're off.
So and we're off. So I don't know what. Let me see if I can peek in on his audio.
Is this where he gets to choose?
Yeah, he's getting to choose his environment. So they're different sizes.
Is there a preferential one for him to put him in an advantage, Clint, or does it not matter?
It depends. So like the pipeline one is going to be the middle company. I mean the middle size. Manufacturing is medium, and the large oil and gas is going to be the largest. All right, so it looks like they're all set up and ready to go. So it looks like he's just waiting to start. He's going to just kind of doing his mission briefing. All right.
Okay, they're off.
So, all right, here we go. It looks like he chose the manufacturer. What's that?
Just talk through what he's doing there.
Yeah, it's really hard to see what he's doing because the screen size is pretty small. But this is his manufacturing plan. He chose the smallest, which could give him an advantage because it's a smaller attack surface. But it's less architecture for Jerry to maneuver through if he does get access. I didn't see what actions he's taken, but the first thing he wants to do, he's obviously going to establish his firewall first. Although in game, there's a strategy that isn't really true to real life, but there's a strategy to where some players will choose to not put their firewall in right away, because when the firewall is installed, if the red team is in the network, they get kicked out. Same thing when you segment your network. So I'm curious to see, what strategy they're going to use. Oh, and Jerry's all zoomed in, but that's okay. All right. So
what do you think Jerry's going to do first?
I think he's going to, first of all, he's going to research probably human social engineering. I think that Jerry's going to make a run. There you go. See, look at that. I think Jerry's going to make a run physically on site to go find HMIs. So that's what he's going to do. So he's going to have to do his OSINT, and he's probably going to do his OSINT. He's going to do his see, there you go, physical security, and he's going to do his physical OSINT, which is looking at the physical site. He's making a run for the site.
Is he doing that for any reason? Does he know that that's a good route for the game, or is it a good route in real life? Why do you think he's gone for that, Clint?
Both. Number one, physical security. All right, so Eric enabled threat monitoring. The first thing he did was put in a firewall, and he put in threat monitoring. He's putting in his video surveillance. He's expecting Jerry to come on site. And so there are ways. So first of all, when you do your physical surveillance, it makes it very difficult to maneuver on site. But if you have your physical security research as high as you possibly can, and your human social engineering as high as you can, that sort of balances out. So it kind of evens the playing field on site again. So I don't know. I'm not sure what he's talking about now. I'm not sure. He's got 0 resources. So I think maybe he's probably moving to segment his network and do policies and procedures. Not sure. Oh, he passed his turn. Okay. He's had his turn pass for 30 seconds. Jerry's also not doing anything because he has all of his resources. If you look up there, all of his resources are maxed out because he's maxing his resources out on research and getting everything set up. If you think about this like chess, the very beginning of the game, you're kind of getting your setup, right? When you play chess, you sort of get everything set up first before you start making all of your moves and then start strategizing and start reacting to the other player's moves. That's what they're doing here. They're getting everything set up for their first move. And you can see there I was right. So he's spending all his resources on video surveillance and segmenting the network. He's doing a 2-pronged approach here. He's starting to get set up the fastest thing he can do to get set up to start protecting the network. That's putting in the firewall, putting in threat monitoring, and segmenting the network. He's putting his basic blocking and tackling cyber defenses in right away. And he's also giving himself a backup with that video surveillance on the physical security. So, oh, he's already passed his turn. All right.
Okay, or as Alex says, unless Eric is feeding Jerry enough rope to hang himself by, causing a lot of
and that's one of the things I forgot to talk about, which was the win conditions. And so I said earlier, the blue team can win by outlasting the red team for 50 turns, and also by getting a threat intelligence victory. So every time they catch the blue team doing something, if they get a network alert, they find a compromised host, or someone gets kicked off site or arrested, they get some threat intelligence points. And then also they can do things like forensics investigations when they find a compromised host to increase the threat intelligence score. When that threat intelligence score gets to 100%, that's a blue team win.
Okay.
All right, so I was talking there and didn't see exactly what Jerry's setting up for, but he had all of his research.
More human research for social engineering, and also the physical security as well, as you see. And he's just done a scan on the network. So I think Jerry's still building up the physical attack vector at the moment.
All right, so
looks like threat monitoring is enabled.
Eric's got one of his resources back. Curious to see what he's going to do there with one resource. He's still waiting for that network segmentation. And he might be putting on endpoint detection or EDR. It would be smart for him to start doing things like locking up his USB, locking down USB, putting in endpoint detection. He's got that SIM and he installed his threat monitoring, but the SIM isn't any good without endpoint or network detection. So here's the other thing too, and I think that's what he's talking about now based on his mouse movements there, is he needs to start protecting his critical infrastructure first. And so, yes, things like your Active Directory is important, but you're protecting those control systems. So he has to start putting things in place to start protecting the control systems. And that goes beyond just segmenting the network. He needs to start putting in his USB protection and things like that. So Jerry did a host scan and he's already found something. He's still in his lair. He's not on site yet. So it looks like he's setting up to go on site, but he hasn't gone on site yet. He hasn't even done physical recon yet. And you have to do physical recon before you can go on site and change locations. So it looks like, even though he's setting up for physical, it looks like he's setting up for a network attack first. And he's not running. I can't see his screen. He's got his screen so zoomed in. I can't see if he's actually, okay, he's not running any campaigns yet. So he's doing a direct attack. This is probably the firewall. He did a host scan, and this is probably Eric's firewall, and he's going to attack the firewall. He's going to go the long way in, it looks like, which is starting way out at the perimeter and breaching your way and getting your way through. I also think that he might be going for a threat intelligence win, or who knows? I mean, a profit and loss win. He may be, if he's going to get into the perimeter, he may be he's probably going to work on some data exfiltration, ransomware. Who knows? It's not the strategy I thought he was going to use.
I think he's taking a similar opposing strategy to Eric's, isn't he? He's kind of going for a little bit of both. I see Alex has made a comment there about the questioning by DI Linstead at the end. We'll do that at the debrief. We'll get the thumb screws out and find out what really went on.
About what?
If you look in the comments, Alex made a comment. DI Linstead informing them that they're nicked, or they don't have to say anything.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, and that's the thing too, is we want to make sure that no one is given any spoilers, because we had a problem last time. Somebody was actually on one of the games was given some spoilers, and we want to make sure that pass this turn. We want to make sure that no one is giving either one of them some help.
I think Jerry's just added some physical recon.
Yeah, okay. So he's got a port scan on the network device. That's probably a firewall. That right there. The other one is probably a remote user. If Jerry is planning on going through the perimeter, he's got a rough road, because we already have some guy said screen is black, but I don't I think that was just one of the viewers is having an issue. So yeah, I mean, Eric already has his entire network segmented. So Jerry has a rough road ahead of him if he's going to start trying to go through the perimeter and go through all the layers to get the control systems, which means he's probably, I don't think he's not going to go directly for the control systems. What I think Jerry is going to do is go for a profit and loss victory. So he's going to get inside. He's going to start dropping malware and data exfiltration, maybe ransomware to get that P&L meter down. If he goes on site, he's going to go for the HMIs, the human machine interfaces. And that's what the control room operators use to control the process control systems. So, yeah, so he's doing his physical recon and he's researching physical security again to increase that. He's preparing for an on-site run. Maybe he's actually going to do a little decoy. I think maybe he's going to throw some network attacks to make Josh. I keep saying Josh because that was who he did last time. Sorry, to make Eric. Sorry, Eric. To make Eric think that he's doing a network attack, but then while Eric is focused on these network assets and network attacks, Jerry's going to be doing an end around on site. Maybe that's what his strategy is.
Let me just jump in there. Oh, I think Alex has just answered it, but William asked what P&L was. It's profit and loss. So the P&L meter will effectively show whether that attack is causing any capital loss for the business. And that's what Clint was just talking about.
Alrighty here. So yeah, I think what we'll do for the next stream, just FYI, for those of you that have been following us, and thank you for that. What we'll do for the next one is we're going to standardize how the players do their streams and their screens, so we can have a uniform look and feel here. So, all right, what is he doing? He's installing all his endpoint. He's basically setting up all of his endpoint detection. So now this SIM will be useful. So if Jerry does compromise something, he's actually going to be aware of it. He doesn't have any network detection, though, so he's not going to see an attack in progress or attempted attacks, but he will see if a device gets compromised.
Just want to jump in and say, if anyone has got any questions, this whole platform is aimed at educating, so please don't feel stupid to ask any question at all. Drop them in the chat, and we'll be happy to answer.
The only stupid questions are the ones that I ask.
Yeah, well, and mine. Come on. Hey, come on then, Jerry. Recon completed.
Yep. He's definitely getting prepared. Okay, so he's found that the laptops here is a remote user. He's changing location. So yeah, if he's going to make an on-site run, he should have started that a lot earlier. I'm not sure why he started doing some enumeration of the perimeter devices there, but I don't know. Maybe he's
decoy tactic, maybe.
Yeah.
Hey, Eddie. Thanks for jumping over. Is Jerry confident over there?
He usually is. Oh, I missed that switch over. All right, so Eric looks like he's setting up to do asset inventory, which is going to then set him up to do vulnerability assessments. So that's one big thing is, the old saying, you can't defend what you don't know that you have, or if you can't see it. So he's put in his baseline security, he's put in his firewall segment, his network, he's putting out his threat monitoring and his endpoint detection. And that's what he's doing right now, is putting his endpoint detection, I think that's what he's doing. And then he's going to be performing a vulnerability assessment at some point so he could find his vulnerabilities and start patching systems. Basic blue teaming methodology.
I think Alex has made a good point, going back to Jerry, about whether Jerry has the resources to do both at once. I haven't seen him create any malicious USBs or anything else as yet. It's a good point, Alex.
Yeah, and I think that, so he is on perimeter. You can see the chain link fence there. He's on this perimeter. And David E had a good point. You said that, going on site immediately gets smashed, by the video surveillance early in the game, because Eric did do a turn one video surveillance, established video surveillance at turn one. So that's a good point. That's a good strategy by Jerry, is that if you anticipate that the blue team is going to establish the video surveillance early, which inhibits your chances of maneuvering on site, then you do need to spend the time on the research to get your on-site skills up and your social engineering skills up, just to bring down that advantage that the video surveillance gives the blue team on site.
Looks like Jerry's fuzzing the network.
He's looking for 0 days. So if he's fuzzing, if he's doing data fuzzing and reverse engineering are going to give you an opportunity to find 0-day vulnerabilities, which are not going to be patched by the blue team unless the blue team does a penetration test to find his own 0 days.
You think that's what Eric's working his way towards, being able to do a vulnerability scan?
No, right now it looks like he's focused on hardening all of his systems using, or he's not doing any system hardening or patching yet because he hasn't done the vulnerability assessment. He's focused on getting all the threat monitoring in place first.
Okay.
So he's installing all of his endpoint detection, maybe doing USB security. I can't really tell from his screen there. Well, yeah, but he's knocking out all of his monitoring, and that makes sense, right? Because I mean that's primarily what he does at Barricade. They do a lot of security operations, center stuff, SOC stuff. Oh
dear, Jerry!
Right off the bat, look at him, and Jerry's a little upset there. Oh, you can't see Jerry because we're covering Jerry, but right off the bat, immediately got kicked out off the perimeter. I mean, he's just sitting on the perimeter. I don't even think Jerry had dropped the USB. He didn't create a USB and drop a malicious USB. Yes, William, 0 days are undiscovered vulnerability. No, so they're not undiscovered vulnerabilities. They're vulnerabilities that have been discovered, but not disclosed to the public. They're just not public vulnerabilities. So the chances of them being patched is very slim. Man, okay. Immediately got swatted, to use Eddie's word.
It's back to the network for Jerry.
So
then.
here's what's interesting here. What you're going to see is now we missed his notifications when Eric started his turn, but he got notified that a perimeter that someone was removed off the perimeter. And you can also see his threat intelligence score is at 1%. So just the fact that we found somebody lurking on the perimeter, they probably got questioned by the police or at least by, not police, but he got questioned by, site security. So we have a little bit of threat intelligence work in there. And now Eric certainly knows that, at least to some degree, that Jerry was working on the perimeter. He was headed towards that physical on-site attack. But so now that's probably, I can't read what he's doing, but it's probably prompting him to increase USB defenses, because that's one of the primary attack vectors on site. There's really two things you can do when you go on site. There's a lot of different things, but the primary strategies are create malicious USB. See, he's creating malicious USBs right there. So creating malicious USBs, dropping USBs on site is one way to gain access to systems when you're physically on site. Another way is you can go directly to the HMIs, but you can plant a rogue device, which gives you access from the parking lot. You can scan for Wi-Fi, go for Wi-Fi attacks. You can plant Trojans. You could find devices while you're there and plant Trojans. So lots of different things you could do while on site. And it looks like he's about ending his turn here.
I think he looks slightly more stressed than he did at the start, Clint. That's for sure.
Yep. All right. So what do we have here? It's yeah. So based on those notifications that I saw, Eric is really focusing on not only putting out his endpoint detection for his his security monitoring, but he is putting out his USB security. So he's hardening all the USB security on his devices to try to negate Jerry getting an easy popped box with a malicious USB. And as we saw, Jerry was actually preparing malicious USBs. He's going to try it again. So right now, I think Eric has the upper hand. Eric is doing all the right things right now, according to the strategies that Jerry's using. So here's where Jerry missed it. it doesn't look like Eric is focusing on any social engineering defenses. He's not doing security awareness training. He's not doing multi-factor authentication. So if Jerry were to do social engineering, spear phishing, email campaigns, anything of that sort right now, Jerry would have a really good chance of popping his first box. But we're
I
not
think
seeing.
it's one of the first things he researched as well, Clint, isn't it? So he's got that in the bag, I think.
Well, he researched human social engineering, which is your on-site social engineering. He has not done anything. Sorry, switch over. I haven't seen him do anything for social engineering, like technical social engineering or
Sorry.
anything like
Yeah,
that.
of course.
Yeah. So let's see what he's going to do. And he's got his screen so zoomed in, but it's not that inhibiting. But
Physical security.
so that basically increases his chance of maneuvering on site by opening doors, picking locks, things like that. Human social engineering, that's increasing. Oh, he ran out of time. Jerry's frustrated because he ran out of time before he got to commit any actions. So when you're queuing up your actions, if you don't hit that in turn button, those actions that were in the queue do not automatically get submitted. You have to hit that in turn button. So he effectively lost a turn.
It's going to
All
be
right.
frustrating.
Not sure what's going on there. So Eric, oh, and maybe he got kicked off site or something, because Eric's threat intelligence is up to 3% now. So I'm not sure if he detected an attack. I missed it. I'm not sure if he detected an attack or if Jerry got kicked off site again.
Let's see what he's doing.
All right. So there's people over. I'm looking at. They're not giving away spoilers, but they are talking about giving hints to Eric about what Jerry's. If you can see his chat feed, there are people over there saying Jerry is mad now. Eric just busted Jerry, whatever. So just and there's people telling multi-factor authentication definitely hardened physical location. There's people giving hints, and I'm going to tell you right now, please, people, do not give hints. If you're watching both streams, do not give hints to either person. It's I know this is just for fun and it's not official league or anything like that. And I missed I missed Jerry's. Okay. Since we missed it, look over here.
Ooh.
Jerry compromised the box. So Jerry's on site, he compromised the box. I'm not sure how he compromised it. I'm not sure if he did it with the USB or if he did a social engineering campaign. I'm not sure, but he did compromise a box, and that is a and he knows about it. Okay, so Eric did detect the fact that he got a compromised box. Let's see how he reacts to this. He's not going into incident
Ryan said it
response
was
mode.
a USB drop, apparently.
Okay, thanks, Ryan. Yeah.
So thanks, Ryan.
Man, yeah. So he did get the USB drop. Let's see how Eric reacts to this. He's not immediately going into incident response mode. He's just continuing to harden everything up. And that's a smart move right now, except for the fact that if depending on what Jerry decides to do with it, he may start reducing the P&L. However, he pivoted off that. So basically what he did a host scan from that compromised box to pivot to move laterally throughout the system is what he's doing.
He's found a few more. Yeah. So he's now port scanning those that he's found. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Hey, thanks, Marcus. Marcus says this is great. I want to play. I want to play and learn. Genius gamification. Thanks for that. That's what this is for. It's just to learn realistic cybersecurity in a way that doesn't require a technical learning curve. We like to say that this is for those people that aren't quite ready for try hack me or hack the box, but are ready to get into it. But and those people that are doing CTFs, this also helps the overall strategy and helps you see the big picture when you want to step out of the command line for a while and play chess.
That's the win. That's the win for me, is seeing that bigger picture, because when you're on the command line, you are very focused on what you're doing, and I think you lose sight of that.
Right, exactly.
Refresher for anyone.
Yeah, you can play this actually. I don't have a box here's where you can so it is available. The professional version is available at ThreatGEN.com, but it's also available for $15. The community version is available for $15 on Steam, and sometimes we run a 50% sale. But it is on Steam as well. But the pro version, you get all the scenarios. It's just there on the ThreatGEN.com website. If you go to ThreatGEN.com and go to pricing, you'll see where we have all of the options there, and it tells you what the different features are for each option. All right, so let's see what's going on here. With Eric, he's not going. He's not going into instant response mode yet, and this is what I was going to say earlier. His threat intelligence percentage is up to, I think, 8%, and he passed his turn. So what's interesting is that it's where that computer is. It's not important. It's a user computer, so he's creating a bubble of security around that so it can't get to anything else. And it's a minimally important computer. So if Jerry does things like malware on that computer, brings it down, does any data exfiltration, he's not going to move that profit and loss meter that much with that single computer. So it's kind of like Eric has almost given him that for now. See, there he goes. Jerry is going to work on installing. What's he doing? I think he's installing destructive malware, or maybe he's doing data exfiltration. I couldn't see it because of the way his screen. Oh, all right. So, okay. So Eric did go into incident response mode, and he's either cleaning, he's either going to clean that machine or replace it. Now, one thing you can do as part of the blue team is you can create a backup system, and you can create restore points, and then you can just back up your system. You can just roll back to the last created restore point as a way to clean the compromised device as well. However, depends on when you made your backup. If you made a backup when the system was already compromised, you're just going to back up to a dirty system, and that can happen. So if they compromise a system using stealth, or they cover their tracks, you may not even know you were compromised. All right, what's Jerry going to do here? Okay, so he tried to install disruptive malware and it failed. That can happen if the malware protection on that machine is pretty strong, up to date. Here, we'll do a quick plug here. Thanks for that, Alex. That's exactly what we were hoping to achieve with Red versus Blue, was that, even if whether you do CTFs or not, this is just a different perspective, and it's a perspective that everybody needs. It's a missing perspective. Even if you're, writing exploits, you still need the perspective. You still need that strategic perspective to see how it all fits together.
I think where you bring in, William asked the question earlier, what's P&L? When you bring in the relevancy of the profit and loss as well, I think the business aspect is one that's lost a lot when it comes to teaching people cyber. And
right,
let's be honest, that knowing how the board reacts to things, what the business's priorities are, how much budget you can get when you are working in a leadership position in cybersecurity, getting those conversations and the budget from the board is one of the most difficult things. So again, a massive help understanding
right.
that.
And the game simulates that, right? I mean, if you want more resources, money, or to hire people in game here, you do have to request budget from the board, and what you do in game affects whether or not you get approved budget from the board, and also how much. So, and also going back to kind of that strategic decision making. Well, anyway, I forgot what I was going to say, but let's see, past his turn.
I see.
So he's having
Marcus is coming from a physical security background, transitioning into cyber, and I'm glad that you find it really useful, Marcus. I think it does give you that overview that's missing.
All right, look at this. So you have a blue box here. So the blue box, and I forgot exactly. I can't remember if that is data exfiltration or disruptive malware on that box. That's a brand new feature, and I can't remember what the blue represents.
Can we see how?
Oh,
Can we
he's
see
doing
how Eric's meters?
He's doing a watering hole campaign. So if you look over here, yeah. So his profit and loss meter will probably start to go down. Oh, so it's disconnected. Okay, so Carrie says I'm the Madden of red versus blue. All right, I'm gonna do that. So it would be like so well, if you want to win the game with red versus blue, I mean you're obviously gonna have to hack something. And then I'm gonna say, so I have to say all these things that are obvious to be John Madden, right? It's like, no, actually a John Maddenism would be, if you're gonna play red versus blue, you have to choose to be either red or blue. You can't play without being red or blue. Or then whenever something gets happened, like if somebody pops a box, like if Jerry pops a box, I'm gonna do the Madden like boom, like John Madden. All right. Wow, he's really having a hard time getting the malware going. You can't see the picture of Jerry because we're covering up on ours, but Jerry has this glowing light right behind him, and his head's right in the center of the glowing light. It looks like Jerry has a halo. He's like this Hell's Angel, this red background, and then he's got this halo around him. Oh, I think he lost his turn. All right. Oh, okay. He was loiter removed from perimeter again. Look at that threat intelligence score. It's like 20%, 21%.
What does that mean, Clint? Just talk to the audience a bit about that.
So the loiter was removed, which means that they've gotten information. So when the red team is continuously doing things and getting caught, the blue team is discovering information about that red team. The more information they discover, the more your threat intelligence score goes up.
Thanks.
Yeah, and so, well, Eric's P&L hasn't moved because that one box that I guess Eric disconnected it from the network, and that's why it was blue on Jerry's side. Eric manually disconnected that box from the network. And when you disconnect it yourself, the P&L loss is minimized. If Jerry was to have disconnected it, denial of serviced it, or done malware, ransomware, or exfiltrated data, it would move the P&L needle. Basically, what that means is the profit and losses. Basically, it means is that the red team is doing things to affect the production of the blue team. So obviously, the juicier targets, the higher value targets, if you do things to affect those, like production systems. Oh, Jerry just took off. I guess he's running to the restroom or something. He threw off his headphones and he took off. I guess I don't know what that was about. No, I think maybe he had to. So he's at his in-laws. Maybe somebody like burst into the room unexpectedly. Kids were being loud or something, and he had to go. Looks like he had to go take care of something. So, yeah. So one of the strategies, and I think Eric should. I don't know if he knows the strategy, but I know Alex likes to use the strategy of. I've seen both Alex and David E using the strategies of almost giving the red team a little bit, letting them, inviting them in, so you can do a lot of threat intelligence. And that's a strategy that I've used as well in the game. Is now obviously that doesn't equate to real life. You don't want to, unless kind of the honeypot strategy. That's what I call it. Is you let people in just enough so that you could start doing threat intelligence. And if the red team is not focused on stealth tactics, which I have yet to see any players focus on stealth in their red team tactics. So you got it. Look at that. He popped another box. Boom. Looks like he popped another box. There you go. Right from John Madden.
We need to get some sound effects ready for next time, Clint.
Oh, we need to get a John.
I'm a little bit short. I've only got this one.
Let's get ready to rumble.
And that's worn a bit thin now. So
yeah,
I'm gonna have
who
to
was
get
it that said I'm the John Madden? Carrie said I'm the. So all right, thanks, Carrie. Oh, I'm gonna get some John Madden sound bites so we can be like, boom. Yeah, I didn't know John Madden was so famous to where he even made it across his reputation made it across the pond. Looks like Jerry's doing an attack campaign. watering hole.
I think Kerry's over your side of the pond, actually.
No, but I'm talking about Simon. I'm surprised you know who John Madden is.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm well traveled, you see, me. Misspent youth as well, Clint. So.
Oh, okay. All right. So look at that compromise. So it's the same one. So it's a good thing that Eric put out all that security monitoring up front, because every time Jerry compromises a box, Eric knows about it. Oh, Alex Alex is asking who is John Madden. Just Google John Madden. In short, John Madden, the late John Madden, God rest his soul, was probably one of the most, if not the most famous American football, NFL football announcers. He was actually a coach long before that, but he made himself famous as an announcer. And he also,
you look at Hasselbeck and you don't think of him as a runner, but he's a very good runner. This is a bootleg. You see, he fakes the run to the left, and then he comes out here on a bootleg pass. He has the crosser who.
I think that was him, wasn't it?
Yeah, but he's very famous for his he's very famous for his. See, you can see Jerry's halo. You can't see it in that view, but when he leans over a little bit, he looks like he has this glowing halo around his head. But John Madden is famous for John Madden football. So if you're familiar with Nintendo, Xbox, John Madden football, he's famous for the football franchise.
The only reason I know the game is from the old John Madden NFL Xbox game. Yeah, I'll be honest.
Oh, okay.
So what's going on with Jerry now? Looks like he's got some more options.
Oh, he passed his turn. Yeah, he's a compromised host. So what's Eric doing with this compromised host? So we're almost halfway in. We're at 21 turns now, and Jerry hasn't done anything but compromise that user host over there. Now, if Eric's not careful, Jerry can get him on a threat intelligence. I'm sorry. If Jerry isn't careful, Eric can get him on a threat intelligence win.
It seems like he's been knocked off the fence a couple of times, though, Jerry, isn't he?
Yeah. He has another now. He's got the firewall. He does have the perimeter firewall.
What was he doing there, Clint?
It's hard to see.
I think he was looking at different attack methods.
Yeah, I think now that he has he's probably going to pivot off that firewall to see if he can get some more hosts there. He's not going to do much with this. I mean, he really just needs to pivot, do more, compromise more hosts, and start getting that profit and loss meter going down. That's kind of his only chance. I don't think he's going to be able to maneuver. He's not even trying to dig deeper to get to the control systems. Now, what he can do is he can, if he really wants to get the profit and loss meter going down, he can deny that firewall, and that profit and loss meter will start skyrocketing down. But because he's not being, quiet about things, he's got that threat intelligence danger. One thing Eric's not doing, but it really hasn't affected him too much, is he's not doing a vulnerability assessment. He's not looking for vulnerabilities to start patching and hardening systems, but it's not really affecting him that much.
Why do you think he's ignored that part, Clint?
Well, I think that Alex is right. So Alex says that I think he's feeding him just enough rope to hang himself, and I think that we missed what he did over here. So I think that he is.
Jerry's got a pivot available.
Yeah, so I think Eric disconnected. I think this is a disconnected box. So Eric disconnected himself. So if it was gray, that would mean it's denied, as in bad guy denied it. Blue means that Eric himself disconnected that box to deny Jerry access to it.
I don't know if we've seen it in this game, but it's very realistic when you are doing scans on a network, because if you've got remote users with laptops, etc. on here, they do flit in and out as the users use them, don't they, Clint?
Yeah, absolutely. So, that the game is simulating. There's Jerry with the halo, but you can't see it. the game is simulating all the different aspects of host scanning and port scanning, but instead of getting all the detailed information of seeing like, oh, here's what ports I discovered, it just lets you know, hey, this port scan has now given you more information. You now know it's a Windows box. You now know. So yeah, that's what happened. You could look there. You said basically he successfully disconnected the box from the network. And you can see it there. See all these lines here? These lines are now gray. They were green. It's hard to see it, but they're green. But it's still red for him. So it lets him know, hey, this box is still compromised, but it's disconnected, so Jerry doesn't have access to it. He's working on trying to harden the firewall. He's looking for options, and you can see Jerry does have this remote user, which is going to be minimal help in multiple aspects, unless he's looking for a pivot. Well, Eric doesn't have a VPN installed, so this remote user can, at any given time, can be in any one of these zones. That's the advantage of a remote user, is that they can be in any zone without a VPN. If he installed the VPN, he would be corralled into the DMZ only.
Okay,
All right.
let's see what's going on.
Okay, so what Jerry is doing is he's exfiltrating data on the boxes that he does have compromised. That is going to start to affect the P&L meter.
He's putting some disruptive malware on as well, I think.
Did he successfully get some malware? He's failed to install ransomware. Ransomware can be difficult to get installed if antivirus and all the hardening is up to date. And I'm not talking about patches. I'm talking about the antivirus and the EDR and stuff like that. So
Alex mentioned he doesn't think that Eric's hardened his terminal server either.
no, he hasn't, because oh, you mean the RDP. Yeah. So there's when certain boxes have RDP or remote desktop protocol enabled, and if Jerry was to compromise that box, he would have access to whatever RDP access the terminal server has access to. Look at that threat intelligence meter, 46%. However, you can see his P&L is going down. So as we saw, Jerry was exfiltrating data, which is getting that profit and loss meeting go down. But at the same time, he's noisy. He's being very noisy. So as I have seen many games, competitors will go for these win conditions without considering the impact to the opposite counter win condition for the other team. So if you're being loud and noisy about your attacks, trying to get P&L wins, the blue team counter strategy is that you risk losing to a threat intelligence win, because the louder you are, the more you get caught, the more information you're giving to the blue team, the more threat intelligence they're going to gather.
So just going back to the P&L, where does that have to be for you to lose the game? Where does it have to drop down to?
The P&L meter has to be in the red for 5 consecutive turns.
Okay.
And as you can see, he's already almost in the yellow. So we'll see where it goes next turn. It is turn-based, so the state of the game updates every turn.
Trying to install some more ransomware there as well, by the looks of it.
Yep, he's going for ransomware. We're working, we don't have it in this game, but we're working on some sort of a ransomware win condition as well, to where the red team can force the blue team to pay a certain amount or something like that.
That would be good.
All right. So the blue team does have options for ransomware, right? So you can replace the box. They can either replace the box, they can restore from backup, they can pay the ransom, or they can attempt to crack the ransomware key, which is very difficult. All right. So what is Eric doing here? He is in active incident response mode. So he's probably cleaning those boxes. He's just kind of doing his due diligence. He's already cleaned off the one box that Jerry had access to. And every single time he cleans off a box that Jerry has access to, that profit and loss meter will start to recover. So that's why Jerry needs to be using stealth. He needs to be using covert attacks. When he does get on a box, he needs to hide his tracks. And he needs to be very subtly, very quietly exfiltrating data and installing disruptive malware. In doing so, he will get that profit and loss meter going down. But Eric won't know exactly where he is, because it's an indicator. Once you start seeing that profit and loss meter go down, that's an indicator that you are compromised, and you're going to start looking for that. What happened? He went full screen to say something. All right. What's Jerry doing over here? At this point, we're halfway in at 25 turns, and Jerry doesn't have a sound strategy that's working, and he's in danger of losing a threat intelligence loss here, or a threat intelligence win from the blue team.
I think he's running out of ideas at the moment, I think.
Yeah. And that's, at this point, he could really max out his human social engineering research. You can't max it out, but you can get it really high. It over time, it starts to have the research starts to have diminishing returns. But, once, because Eric is really focused on hardening the perimeter with threat. He's got threat monitoring going on. He hasn't done vulnerability assessments to actually do any patching or hardening, but he's got threat monitoring, and he's really just watching the network. So at this point, I think the best strategy that Jerry could have would be to get his physical security research as high as he can, get his human social engineering research as high as he can, and then make a beeline for this to go on site. Because remember, if you have your physical security research high and your human social engineering research high, it does lower the effectiveness of surveillance cameras.
Okay.
So he's now looking to pop more boxes. So he's kind of doing the same thing over and over again. And if you do that fast enough, you can pull off a profit and loss or a P&L victory, because continually popping boxes and doing the data exfiltration, that will move the meter downwards faster than what it will just recover once everything's cleaned. So the recovery speed is actually slower than most of the actual mechanisms in place for a profit and loss. So, like, I mean, when you start stacking things, so the P&L, man, this is getting close. The P&L's in the yellow, but the threat intelligence score is increasing. And so that means Josh is probably, and I haven't seen it, but whenever those boxes are compromised, he's probably doing gathering forensics evidence on each of those compromised boxes before he's cleaning them, which increases his threat intelligence score. But let's go over to Jerry. So Jerry doesn't have any boxes compromised at the moment, so that P&L meter won't go down any further unless he compromises more boxes.
It looks like he needed to upskill a bit on the vulnerabilities that were there for the boxes.
Yeah, so you can tell that whenever Jerry is missed a turn. So basically, when Jerry is formulating an attack, you'll see all the vulnerabilities that are available that he's discovered on the box that he's going to attack. And you'll see a meter that's either clear or it has some degree of green. That lets you know how skilled you are at exploiting that vulnerability. And it takes research. Okay, so Alex says you can get forensics and clean an asset in parallel. That's right, because if you put it in the stack correctly. So if you put in gather forensics first and then clean, you'll finish getting forensics before you finish cleaning that box. Yeah, see, this meter is going up a little bit. It's starting to recover. It was further into the yellow earlier, and it's starting to recover because Jerry doesn't have control of any assets. All right, he's going to move his turn now. There we go. All right. So what's Jerry going to do? He's continuing to pop boxes. I mean, he still has plenty of time to pull off a win. You're just barely over the halfway mark. Exactly. So David E. Says Alex recollection matches his in terms of what we just talked about, the order of cleaning versus forensics. But he says HMI cheese. And what David E. is speaking of is what we are talking about earlier, is if you make a beeline physically on site, find an HMI, a human machine interface, and get access to it, you're standing right there at the console to be able to manipulate it to damage the control systems. The reason we call that HMI cheese is because that is like a Hail Mary, Deus Ex Machina type of win, but it's there for a reason, because that's a realistic situation. In real life, you can absolutely physical. You mentioned earlier, how Simon, you asked a question about, is physical security a good strategy in real life? And whenever we used to do red teaming, we've literally, not joking, we literally had a 100% success rate gaining access to our objective when using physical security. People just don't secure their physical environments. It's always, very laxed. And so we've never had a problem getting on site and getting access to our objectives using physical security. And control rooms and things like that. And HMIs are often left unattended, and not in the control room, but embedded HMIs are left unattended. So that it's called HMI cheese, and there he is. He's on site. He's going for it, I think. So by the way, all these shields, the yellow shields mean that you found public vulnerabilities on those devices. The red shield means you've got some research and some skill exploiting said vulnerabilities on those devices. Jerry's frustrated, looks like. So
if you were Jerry right now, Clint, what would you do to mix it up?
I do exactly what he's doing right now. I would go for HMI cheese. I would go on site, but I mean, make sure that your human SE and your physical security research is just high, and then you got to ask for a little luck. But once you get past the perimeter, if you can get feet on the plant environment, then you start searching for HMIs. And if you can find HMIs and get access to it, you're like a turn away from a control system destruction or damage.
And in real life, then, if you're talking about critical infrastructure, I mean, I know the firm I look after looks after some critical infrastructure in the UK, and they said that their on-site security is kind of second to none. Do you think you find that more in those kind of critical infrastructure environments than you do normal premises?
Yeah, it depends on the the environment. So if you're doing so for example, like a nuclear plant, they're going to have massive security on, water, wastewater is a little lax, right? Smaller electric municipalities are going to be more lax, whereas a larger power generation company would be more secure. So it depends on the company themselves. So what Jerry's not doing, he's staying on the perimeter. He's making a huge mistake. He's just hanging out on the perimeter, and he needs to be moving into the plant to go for those HMIs.
William's question, are HMIs anything with a screen that has access to the network?
So the HMIs, human machine interfaces, yes, that is a screen. We're talking about a physical screen, which is used to monitor and a lot of times control the process. Sometimes they're network connected, sometimes they're not. The ones that are like in a control room the ones that are basically computer based, most of them nowadays, are connected. If you're talking about kind of a distributed control system, and an HMI to an individual process that is embedded to the process may not be network connected. But if you're talking about a modern control system, like a DCS, distributed control system, nowadays those are connected to the network, or they have an Ethernet connection. And if you're talking about SCADA, HMIs are always connected to the network because you have some terminal that a user is sitting at. It's basically just a computer that they're using to connect to the SCADA system to monitor and control that. Did he already end his turn? Okay.
Yeah, he did. I think Eric.
Now he's got that VPN installed finally. He still hasn't done a vulnerability assessment. Oh, he's doing a vulnerability assessment right now.
Yeah.
So, man, if I was Eric, seeing that threat intelligence score as high as it is, I'd open the door and welcome Jerry in, because Jerry's not doing anything for stealth.
Doesn't know the meaning of the word stealth this week, I don't think.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the risk of going all in, is that when you don't pay attention to stealth, you risk. See, I think Jerry's going to lose the threat intelligence.
I suppose trying to link that back to anyone who's doing any command line stuff, it's a bit like doing a noisy nmap scan, isn't it?
Yeah, using Nessus. I'm trying to hack a network. I'm using Nessus to find vulnerabilities. I mean, does SCADA include the aviation space? So it depends on what part. I would say that aviation is mostly going to be distributed control systems in the manufacturing plants, and they do is they would consider avionics and some of those systems nowadays to be part of I would say control systems, but and then they have control systems like in the baggage conveyor and stuff like that. But I and I'm not a avionics or an aviation industry expert, but I don't think you would consider anything like that to be SCADA. It's SCADA is usually remote. It's a supervisory control and data acquisition, so it's remote data monitoring and access and control of systems like pipelines, electric grids, and stuff like that. But in the aviation industry, you have control systems in the manufacturing plants, and you have control systems in the customer areas like the baggage and stuff like that. And you have some of the avionics, some of the stuff in the planes are network connected, but not in the way you would think. So there's
a lot of interconnected systems within avionics, that's for sure.
Yeah. All right, so he's got a compromised device. So look, you see it. Okay, you see it's red because he knows it's compromised, and it's flashing with a red target. That means he's detected an active attack on that as well, which means he has his network sensors installed. But Jerry stomping around like the Hulk in Eric's network is going to get him a threat intelligence loss. Jerry smash.
Should change his light to green, shouldn't he?
Alex says the sheer amount of stuff that he learns when Clint utters a throwaway line. What are the throwaway lines? What are these?
It's the only reason I'm here, Alex. It's all about the learning experience.
But a throwaway line. What is a throwaway line? Because I know I throw quips and movie quotes around like crazy. In fact, my kid the other day, my kid says, "Daddy, I don't even know what's real anymore because you always talk in quotes." Like, so my kid literally says, he's a 9-year-old, and he literally told me that he doesn't know what is something real, or if I'm joking, or if I'm quoting a movie, because I literally talk in movie quotes and quips. So notice that threat intelligence
Who wants to live in the real world anyway, Clint? It's too boring.
Yeah. So, I mean, if Josh, just FYI, there's only so much threat intelligence you can get from a device, right? So once a device gets hacked and you detect it, you get some threat intelligence. If you do forensics investigation, you get more. And then if you clean that box, but if they hack the box again, hold on.
So I'm just reading Alex.
So if they hack the box again, then you can actually still get more threat intelligence from that. But the amount of threat intelligence that you can get from any one single box starts the returns start to diminish over time.
So what's he got going on there? He's got an attack on the server that he's still waiting for.
Okay, so Alex is just talking about basically my war stories. As I'm talking about this, the things I talk about. So he tried to attack the domain controller and he failed. So as you can tell, whoa. That's a disconnected firewall. Oh my goodness. I don't know why, but he disconnected the firewall. Notice not a single one of his connections are green. His entire company is currently offline. Now, because he's the one that disconnected it, the P&L impact is going to be lost. Think of it like this. I'm telling my company, hey, we're bringing the network down. Everybody prepare to work manual for a little while, and then goes offline. If Jerry was to deny the firewall, it's an unexpected outage and in less time to prepare. Therefore, the company suffers a bigger P&L loss. So he basically kicked Jerry out. And I don't agree with that strategy. I mean, you're so close to there you are. I mean, look at this. You're so close to a threat intelligence victory. You open the door and let him go. Oh, that's it. He just detected another attack. So Jerry's attacking out of the box. His network detection system, network detection has his IDS, basically his intrusion detection system, picked up on Jerry's attack, and he got more threat intelligence from that because Jerry's being so noisy. And they think, how does that work in real life, right? So you're talking about all this information, all this information is every bit of network packet, everything the bad guys do to give me information contributes to a little more information I'm finding out about them, their tactics, their techniques, their procedures, their TTPs. So,
Alex just said doing forensics on the gateway should get Eric home. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, if he doesn't already. He had a big jump in the threat intelligence in the first place. So I think that he's changing the location. Got to go for it. You got at this point, Jerry. Yeah, stop attacking the network. Jerry can save himself if he stops attacking the network and he goes for physical security. Then he can, and he's going to have to. So that was a mistake by Eric. Eric is forcing Jerry's hand to go physical because Eric disconnected the firewall. Now, even though the firewall is disconnected, you still have a few ways in. If you were to have a remote user, the VPN and the firewall are two different devices. So if you have a compromised remote user, even though the firewall's down, you could still have a way in. That's not the case here. If I was Eric, I would open the door. Oh, there it is. It's done. The threat intelligence victory is there. He got him with the threat intelligence victory. And so Eric's going, and Eric is going, look, he's flexing. But we knew this was going to happen about halfway through because Jerry was being so noisy. So, oh man. Okay, here we're gonna let them talk to the users for a minute. Everybody stay on the line here. We're gonna have everybody over and we're gonna talk about the debrief here on this channel here in a minute.
I bet Jerry's looking sad. I'm looking forward to seeing this.
All right, let me I always forget how to invite the users over here. Let me go. Okay,
you worked it out. I think it's in one of the little buttons down at the bottom of your screen to send the link across.
I always forget how to invite folks. Hold on.
What's this?
Oh, here we go. I found it.
You've got it? Yeah.
Yep.
Just reading some of the comments. Yeah, I think you might be right about those Sasquatch feet, Eddie. I think he's going to be upset. How many turns were there left, Clint?
8 minutes and 37 turns. So do the math. It was 50 turns total. All right. So they're going to talk to the users here in a minute. And then they're going to come join us on our stream here. And we're going to do the debrief and we're going to hear them talk about their strategies. And we're going to listen to Eric gloat a little bit about Jerry. So, or about his victory over Jerry. And let's see, what's Jerry doing here? So Jerry's talking about, Jerry's wrapping up and he's talking about his feed. So he's sending everybody over here. He's going to come over here in just a minute. And it's always fun. Last time we did this is our second one, by the way. It's our second eSports style red versus blue challenge. And the last time, and then I can't, it's hard for me to see the breakdown. I can't see the screens of what, but I mean, that's all right. We can talk about it. we saw both sides and we got a good idea of what was going on. So we don't need to see the in-game screen.
Williams just asked Clint, when's the next one? Have you got another one planned?
Yeah, we'll talk about that. I'll talk about that here in just a minute, but I'll give the teaser. So the teaser is there we go. We just got somebody come in.
And we've got quite a few guests joining from Jerry's stream as well.
So just a second here. All right, looks like he's ending there. Oops. Oh, there we go. All right, we have Jerry backstage. We'll bring you all here in just a minute. So just so everybody knows, this is the precursor right now to a tournament. We're going to be establishing an invite-only tournament, which is going to be televised. Every game is going to be televised. That tournament is the precursor to a league. So it's the invite-only tournament, and then we're actually from there going to be establishing a league, and we'll have details on that. All league games will be broadcast, streamed, televised, or whatnot. And so anyway, we'll talk more about that. Let's go ahead and bring on Jerry real quick and get inside. We're bringing both competitors, so they're both here. We've got Eric and Jerry, and here they are. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome.
Hey, what happened, Jerry?
You know, first of all, I'd like to acknowledge and congratulate Eric for a job well done. Very, very nicely done, Eric. I'd like to compliment you on how quickly you were able to detect and resolve issues. The main problem I think that I had, and anyone who's coming over from the Simply Cyber feed, chime in on chat, let us know what you think about it. I was hell-bent on getting on site and punching his HMI card. And I think I got a little too aggro. And instead of doing more research to the level that I should have, I got, whatever, aggressive. And I went after it. I got slapped in the face. So then I was like, oh, he'll think that I'm going on site. So now I'll start attacking remotely. And I got all mixed up. I started, I had malicious USB. Like I'm studying malicious USBs. And I'm on site. And then when I get the USB, I start doing remote attacks. Like when I'm on site looking suspicious, I'm doing stuff I could do at Starbucks. And then when I get kicked off site, I'm holding USB drives, wondering what the hell am I supposed to do with these things? So definitely poor strategy. Like I'm not taking anything away from Eric. It was just, I was a fool in my strategy. I didn't commit to the strategy. Thank you.
It looked, from our point of view, Eric, it looked like you had a clear game plan from the start and kind of nailed it. Is that how it went, or did you wing it a bit more than we saw?
So, I mean, anytime we get brought into any organization, and I tried to apply this as much as I could to the game, it was simply, I don't know what unless I can log it. So my point was, start deploying EDR, start doing network segmentation, and start logging all the effing things. I don't know what I don't log. And that's literally once I did that, then I started advancing that mindset. And I would have got farther. And I want to bring up a bug that I think I found. But why does vulnerability assessment fail when you are in IR mode? I was in IR mode longer than I anticipated. Yeah. I thought I was going to drop in, hit it, and then get back out before it completed, but it failed out during IR. And I'm like, no. Now I got to.
So that's not a bug. That's not a bug. That is a conscious. That's a conscious decision we made. Is that so? Here's. Did you do an internal vulnerability assessment, or did you pay for it?
I paid for it, I believe.
Okay, there's one version where you pay for it, and there's one version where you put more people towards it, considered internal. So technically, if you do the internal one, that one should fail if you go in IR mode. It's basically you're pulling all your people. Hey, all hands on deck, stop assessment. We need to go in threat hunting mode, or we need to do the vulnerability assessment. Whereas if you're paying people, technically it shouldn't stop. The thought behind that decision was that we're calling all hands to go into IR mode, stop with your current work. However, it could be argued that maybe we should let vulnerability assessments continue and not fail when you go into IR mode. We'll talk about that offline. But I agree, that could go either way. It just depends on how you look at it.
Yeah, and real quick, IR incident response. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, IR stands for incident response. I will say that. So Jerry, we did kind of see. We thought you were going to go HMI right off the bat. We saw that you were preparing. I will say that. Research. So Jerry, we did. Oh, sorry. I heard. I'm hearing echo.
Yeah, no. I'm sorry. I was pulling up the thing so I could see chat. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So I will say that we saw you preparing for an on-site run, but you didn't like push for it immediately. At the same time, we saw Josh setting up his survey. I mean, Eric. Sorry. The last feed. Eric. The last feed. I keep doing that. The last one we did was Josh Mason, so I still got Josh in my head. I'm a fanboy, Josh, if you're listening. But anyway, we saw Eric preparing surveillance, but at the same time, we saw Jerry beefing up his human social engineering, which lowers the effectiveness of surveillance. And we thought this is going to be good to see. But then, you kind of lingered for a while, Jerry, on the network, hitting network devices, and we thought that was your strategy at that point. We said, hey, I bet he's going to try to make Eric think he's coming over the network by popping some devices on the network, and then make a run for the HMIs, which you kind of started to do, but you got discouraged. You got discovered once or twice. You got discouraged, and you didn't continue on with that strategy. So another thing we noticed was that Eric wasn't putting forth hardly anything to social engineering defense in the early game. His user awareness training or multi-factor authentication, he wasn't focusing on that. So if you would have started with any type of social engineering or spear phishing in the early game, you would add some early pops there, Jerry, but you had no way of knowing. So gosh dang it, sorry, Eric. I'm gonna man,
you've upset me now.
Clint, if you click on settings and toggle participants' names on, people know what our names are, and you can read
that's a
Eric's
good point.
Name.
Gosh, and to be fair, sorry, Eric. Look, I've had more communication with Josh, and he was the last participant. So I'm sorry. Or if you're Canadian, sorry. So Eric, tell us a little bit about your strategy.
Well, like I said, I mean, my pure strategy was to go in and log everything, really what it was, so we did the firewall, we did the network segmentation, we started deploying endpoint detection on everything, started deploying USB detection on everything, and then we start layering and stacking on and advancing that ThreatGEN that we have. I literally took it from, from my DFIR world and put it, like, if I was to reverse it in, an actual IR case, how would I like to do it? And that's kind of how I took it. And I was wondering, because I was like, Jerry's going to know I am DFIR. He's going to know I'm probably going to apply that. But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stick true to myself. This is the way that I do business every day. I'm just going to do this.
Yeah. And it worked for you. It really shows the value of putting in your threat monitoring, right, in your IR. So DFIR, it shows the value right there. You launched that early, hard and fast. And one of the things that we kept talking about over and over again was that, almost halfway through, or maybe not even halfway through, we started saying, looks like Jerry's going to get in danger of a threat intelligence loss, because, he was going in like Hulk smash everything. He wasn't trying any stealth tactics. And that was one of the things. It's like, he should have known. You're the DFIR guy. He should have known to go in quiet, or he's going to shoot himself in his big green foot.
Much more appropriate color, Jerry.
Yeah.
There you go.
My Hulk smash color, or ish. Let me see.
Make it more green. Make it really green. There you go. Yeah. That's the right color. So yeah, I mean, really, your strategy was well suited for Eric's defense. It really was. I mean, Eric played the perfect strategy for the strategy that you went in. Like I said, I mean, the two areas where you should have focused more on was you should have focused more on social engineering, and or you should have not given up on the physical HMI cheese so fast. It was there for you.
That's what like I should have I didn't commit to the strategy. It's like when you try to please everyone, you please no one. And
exactly.
You know,
I think from my point of view, and for those watching who aren't particularly technical in cybersecurity, a bit like me, I think Eric's sticking to his guns and knowing what you've got before you go anywhere. I mean, how can you protect anything if you don't know what you've got, Eric, I suppose,
Exactly.
is the mindset. And the fact that you just admitted, Jerry, that you kind of then started flitting from tactic to tactic, and Eric stuck with the kind of tried and tested, find out what I've got, and then start protecting it. It's a valuable lesson for those learning the whole concept of security and as a whole, isn't it? Eric, any comments on that?
No, you're right on. So, I mean, anytime you're being brought into an event, not even in a DFIR case, but, if you're new in GRC, you're being brought into a new organization, you don't know what you don't know. So start collecting, start monitoring everything, and, don't overcomplicate your network until you're ready for it.
And here's an interesting strategy is that you waited until late game, Eric, before you started doing any type of vulnerability assessment and focusing on patching and hardening. I mean, you were the epitome of a true DFIR person in terms of, like, you didn't focus on assessments, you didn't patch, you didn't harden anything till later game. You just put in monitoring and responded to things that you're monitoring, and that's how you're able to get the threat intelligence victory. Now, equating that to real life,
Jerry's seeing the flaws in his stuff now.
I'm so mad because it's like you patched nothing. It was like everything was ripe.
I was getting
everything
ready.
was ripe.
As soon as it got done, my the vulnerabilities were there. That was the next step. Now that I'm monitoring everything, I'm seeing everything. Now I'm starting to harden and secure everything. Once I got the vulnerabilities done, I would have gotten a 2FA done. So it's definitely a step in progress, but that's what we do every day. So
yeah, one thing that really I guess frustrated me or pissed me off, or whatever you want to say, like I had the DC with
I see you targeted that.
Yeah,
and I shut that off. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take a hit to my P&L, but boom, it's gone.
Oh, is that why?
He kept disconnecting it.
You prick.
Well, and it just so FYI, when you disconnect your own systems, the P&L loss is less than if he would have knocked it out. So basically, I was telling the audience earlier, it's like it's a prepared outage, right? It's a planned outage. A planned outage has less impact to your P&L than a unexpected outage.
Yeah. So I seen Carl being remote watching Pornhub or whatever he's doing that you did to him. From there, got to the firewall, and then you were targeting the DC. I'm like, boom, it's gone. I don't care. Shut it down.
Damn it. Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess you probably thought that I was big game hunting anyways. Damn it. Yeah. Well, I mean, again, well done. I was challenged, obviously.
So,
and,
Clint, there's a question there from Alex that you and Simon may want to address there.
Yeah, I was thinking to pick that up. Does Eric being able to apply his day job experience pretty much validate the simulation's fidelity? I think it's a good point, and it does. And there's another one we can move on to next from Kristen, asking whether social engineering is always a good strategy to start.
Let me tackle that one. So first, so basically, to answer the question that Alex asked, does it, applying your day-to-day experience pretty much straight off, does it validate the fidelity further of the simulation? I mean, that's a question for Eric. Do you feel like that it was able to simulate and demonstrate your tactics working in real life? I think the answer is yes. I mean, it worked as advertised. Your strategy worked as advertised, and it was shown in the simulation. So this question here is social engineering to begin with always a good strategy? Not always. Now, I would say in real life and in game, if you're dealing with an immature network in terms of cybersecurity posture, Social engineering is usually your lowest hanging fruit, and that usually is the best attack vector in. And yes, if Jerry would have done that right off the bat here, he probably would have popped some boxes early, but with Eric's strategy, he would have resolved them quickly and also continued that threat intelligence climb. In real life, if a network has a good defense against social engineering, your awareness, user awareness training, multi-factor authentication, stuff like that, then social engineering is not as good. It just really depends. There's always a strategy and a counter strategy for everything. But I guess I'll close this comment out by saying social engineering is usually the number one attack vector in terms of campaigns and threats.
Let's say from our side of the fence, where it's like, okay, let's just say Carl, just to use Jerry's terms here, is got socially engineered. At some point in time, you got to get down to the network level. You got to get down to the device level. And if you if you start thinking about baking a cake, because I hate the term security onion, so we'll use cake. So as we're adding our layers, everybody like cake. I'm fat and happy. But as you add your layers to your cake, you're able to see that. So as soon as you start to drive that knife down in the middle of the cake, sooner or later, you're going to hit that layer that I'm already built up to, and I'm going to find you.
Security is like an ogre. Ogres have layers. I mean, sorry, onion. So it's like, anyway, it's like an ogre, and they have layers, just like onions. Onions have layers. But a cake. Everybody like
I'm gonna have to play. I think I'm gonna play a live stream against the AI later, just to like make myself feel better. I'm so mad. Not that I lost. I'm not mad that I lost. I'm mad at myself for flip-flopping on my strategy. That's
because you were getting knocked on your heels, man. You didn't know what to expect from me.
Yeah.
A true cybersecurity. This is a good point. A true cybersecurity professional knocking a threat actor back. I mean, if you go back and look at Conti and some of these other ones that you actually had somebody fighting against the adversary, this is perfect, right? So, they are able to see them being pushed back, and it kicks them on their heels. And that's what I did. So I want to petition, because I've got several Sands challenge coins from winning. I think ThreatGEN should create a challenge coin so that way I can get one for going against Jerry.
Okay. Great idea.
You know what?
Oh, nice.
Well, I'm still waiting for my hat.
I think we need to do that. I think that's consider that done. We're going to create ThreatGEN Red versus Blue challenge coins for those that actually win our eSports event. So anybody who's won an eSports event gets the challenge coin. And so on that note, let me just remind everybody that these are all one-off games. Basically consider this preseason for our upcoming tournament, which is invite only for now, which will include some heavy hitters that we all know in the industry. If you follow Simply Cyber, Barricade, ThreatGEN, Josh Mason, since I keep saying his name anyway, and so who else we have lined up? We have.
I'm going to be asking Jack Scott, Stefan Semmelroth, Neil Bridges, pretty much InfoSec streamers, because we're going to want to stream the event similar to what we did today. So it makes sense to engage those people who are active streaming in the community that are more senior cybersecurity practitioners.
Yeah, and so that tournament will be a precursor to a league that we're working on building, and the league will be open to everyone. And we'll get later on, as we get this established, we'll let you know how you sign up a team and the rules and all that stuff like that. By the way, I know, William, we are not all in Texas. In fact, out of the 4 of us here, sorry, I can't count, I'm the only one in Texas. So,
Clint, did you not sleep last night?
I didn't.
Man, that explains a lot.
You can tell, huh? Well, look, that's why. I mean, I was going straight for the monster this morning. I didn't. I told everybody. I think I told everybody in chat. Jerry, you saw it. I don't know what chat it was. I stayed up way too late last night watching Yellowstone. I was up until like 3 a.m. watching Yellowstone. So
the Wild West of cybersecurity doesn't mix, sir.
I find lots of analogies, actually. I find lots of analogies. But 1883 with Sam Elliott, that one was more like cybersecurity. Anyway,
Well, maybe we can get, I don't know if the budget's got it or how we could do it, but I'm telling you, US Cyber Games put these jerseys together, these performance jerseys. It's got my my name on the back and all the logos and stuff.
we're gonna do that.
You,
Yep.
we should totally do it for the sports league because
for the
it doesn't
league,
help you win though.
yeah, for the league, we're gonna get sponsors. We will offer sponsorships for the leagues. When the league happens up, maybe even for the tournament. But we are going to offer sponsorships. We're going to get coins and swag for all the participants. We're going to do it up.
I like it.
All right.
Sounds like I just got an action item to go find some sponsors.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what I just heard. Yeah.
All right. Well, we are at the top of the hour. We're a couple minutes over, so we do need to go ahead and end our stream for today. But I would like to thank Jerry and Eric, not Josh, Eric, for participating today. Congratulations to Eric for the win. Thanks, Simon, for helping with this, the shoutcast. You add a lot of value, and it's fun to shoutcast with you. Thanks to everyone who watched and everyone who will watch this recording. And we will have another one soon. So everybody stay tuned and take care, everybody. See you next time.
Thanks, everyone. Good to see you all. Good battle, guys.